Welcome to another episode of Best of America by Horseback. I'm your host, Dale Shields. With me once again is my good friend, Gary Bass. We're going to talk to you today about having your truck and your trailer road ready. And Gary, there's a lot of things to talk about to have your vehicle and your trailer ready to get on the road, isn't there?
Absolutely, Dale. A lot of things to make sure we stay safe when we're traveling.
Main thing is staying safe as you go down the road for yourself and for those who are driving around you. And we want to talk about a lot of those things today. And so stay with us. We're going to talk about everything from tires to lights to hooking up chains on your truck, what to do in the case of emergencies. We have a lot of things to discuss on this show, so stay with us. We'll be right back. On this episode of Best of America by Horseback, Dale Shields and Gary Bass are talking about safety precautions to take before going out on each road trip. Dale feels it is vitally important to check off all of those things in these various areas before hitting the open road. Everything from making sure the lights are in good working order, to securing safety chains, to making sure that the tires not only have enough air pressure, but that there are no cuts or blemishes on the tires, so that you can reach your next destination without incident and get back to being together with family and friends and ultimately doing what we love, and that is being out on the trail. We have a lot of places we want to go, and it makes our trip a whole lot better when we know that we have a safety net of all of these things being taken care of. We're just back from a long road trip, and so the truck is showing all of the road grime that comes your way through bad weather. But that's okay, because it all adds to what we want to talk about today. First of all, I want to talk to you about tire safety. This may seem like something that is common to everyone, but it's something that's really important. Not only should your truck and trailer have good tread. One of the tests we use is sticking a penny down in to see how far the tread is, but also to recognize if there are any cuts or blemishes on the tire or the rim. Things can happen that we don't see often, and so just looking those things over and making sure that they're good really is important. Making sure your spare tire has enough air, that something hasn't gone wrong with it, and that if you happen to get on the road, have a flat, you come in here to get your spare tire, and surprisingly you find out that it has gone down on you and you have nothing to rely on. It doesn't take but a minute to take a pressure gauge and test the air in your tire. Also make sure that the tire is secure there on the tire mount. A number of things can happen. We don't always think about all of these things all the time, but once in a while it's good to go back and check on them just to make sure that these things are secure and gives us that safety as we're going down the road. Knowing that your lights are working, your tail lights, your brake lights, it's good to have someone to go behind you and watch the lights while you turn on your turn signals, push the brake pedal, make sure those lights are coming on. When you're out on the interstate or going through a major city, you want to make sure that folks know if you're turning left or turning right, or you're going to be slowing down. You have a lot of money invested in your truck and your trailer, as well as the safety of yourself, your family, your horses, and the people around you. And so it's vitally important to know that all of these lights are working, and we're going to talk some more about that in just a little while. When you're traveling down the highway, sometimes the fuel stations are a long ways in between, and it's good to have a little extra fuel with you. Sometimes it doesn't hurt just to throw an extra container or two of diesel fuel or gasoline or whatever fuel your truck may use to help get you on down the road an extra 80 or 90 miles to the next fuel station. And then also, if your truck happens to use the diesel exhaust fluid, sometimes this is not available at every stop that you make. And so before you leave home, it's good to maybe have 2 or 3 extra containers that you can put in the back of your truck or in your trailer, and make sure that these things are full, because this will shut your truck down if these things go low, and you certainly don't want to be stranded out on the road with this problem. So a few extra precautions are really a big help, and we recommend that you take some of these things along. Let's get in back of the truck and see what else we need to take care of before we get on the road. Some very important elements that we like to check out before we get on the road are found here in the bed of the truck. You know, it's a rare occasion that something bad goes wrong in here with the ball or the hitch, but it is possible. It can happen. One of the things I like to do is make sure to check the bolts, that they are tight, that this hitch is solid in here. It's not going to slide down or pop out and have any problems. This one has an extra pin to hold it in, but all those precautions are necessary and good. And then along with that, safety chains. You know, they can be kind of a distraction to us. We don't like to have to mess with them, but they hold great importance. And so putting the chains on the truck, making sure that these things are secure, doesn't take that long a time. And if the event happens that something tragic takes place here, the hitch breaks loose for some reason, you still have the security of these chains. And then of course the trailer brake, making sure that it too is hooked up to something solid so it can pull and have the brakes for the trailer. All of these things are of great importance, and you sure don't want to get on the road without first making sure that these things are secure, in place, and ready to go. It only takes a few minutes to be safe. Stay with us and watch this episode of Best of America by Horseback. Welcome back to this episode of Best of America by Horseback. On this episode, Dale Shields and Gary Bass are talking about having your truck and your trailer road ready. We want you to be safe as you're traveling to your destinations. It is important to take all necessary precautions before you get out on the open road so that you don't have any distractions when you're trying to get to the place where you'll be with your family, your friends, and your horse, and getting to enjoy the great outdoors. Stay tuned on this episode to learn more of the tips for traveling. So we want to talk about some of the stuff that you use inside the truck or some other elements. So Gary, talk to us a little bit about some of the things that you carry and why they're important.
Okay, Dale. Okay, one of the first things I want to bring up is our safety is very important, not just for us, but for the animals that are in our trailer. So I carry these cones. They're cheap. You can get them at Home Depot or some of the sporting goods stores. These are for the soccer players that run around. So put these out. You want to go back about 100 yards and you work them out until it's past your trailer. That's the first thing. Another important item is a very good tow strap. Not just for you, but maybe you've got somebody that you're traveling with that needs help, gets stuck in the mud. That happens quite a bit, Dale. I think we've had that several times.
Absolutely.
So a good tow strap. Whenever we have to change a tire, and Dale mentioned this earlier about some of that stuff, we use trolley jacks and get a block of 2x4 to put on here, which helps spread the load to find you a good spot under your truck. These things are pretty inexpensive, but they're a really big help when you need to change the tire. Instead of some of the applications that come with the vehicle, these are so easy to use. Roll them wherever you need to go. Also, if you have a single axle trailer, you can use one of these to change the tire on your trailer. Another important item is a good set of jumper cables. If you've been somewhere where there's no hookups and you've run your trailer down, you still need to pull the slide in and lower it into your truck or jack the thing up. So you need to have a good set of jumper cables to make sure you can secure your trailer before you need to leave. All of this stuff, it can be a bit of a pain to travel with, but when you need it, you need to have it. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
When you're going down the road, one of the important things that you want to make sure is that everything is secure. We have actually lost some hubcaps off of our trailer going down the road, and so I ended up taking the hubcaps off that were on here. They just didn't seem to fit as well, and some trailer wheels are like that. It's more, it's safer to take those off and not have them on there than to have loose ones on and lose them going down the road. And so I pulled those off. One of the things that I do, Gary, when we're traveling down the road and we stop for fuel or other things, as soon as I get out of the truck, I'll come back and I'll put the back of my hand on the tire or down on the hub to make sure that those are cool, they're not hot, and that makes sure that the bearings are not going bad in there, or that a tire is not having difficulties.
The heat from the back of your hand down.
Yes, so I don't use the front of my hand because if it is hot, I don't want to grab it and blister myself. But you can feel the heat better back there. You just lay it against the tire and then come down and lay it against the hub. And if it's hot, you've got a problem. So it's just a quick walk around, something to do. Also, about once a year, depending on how much you travel, it's good to grease the hubs, make sure that these are well greased. You may want to take it to a shop and let a professional do it, or if you're familiar with this kind of thing, a simple 1 or 2 squirt of grease into the hub is all that it takes. You don't want to over grease those because you'll push the seal out on the back of the wheel and then you really have problems. But just a small grease gun does the job, and so really important. Something else I like to carry along is an impact with a set of sockets. And the reason I do this, how many of us have had the old 4-way that we had to crank on, get a cheater bar, and pull on?
I've pulled my back doing that, Dale.
Absolutely. There's a lot of different brands of the impacts, but it sure makes it a lot easier to take those off, put those on with one of these than pulling and cranking on one of those bars.
That's
And
why I
so
carry one now, Dale.
having that along with you makes things a lot easier.
Yes, it does.
And the older we get, the more cheaters we need.
Yeah, we do.
So having those along makes a really big impact on our lives. You know, Gary, when we go, we want to make sure we're fortunate to have a fuel gauge for our generator. And so I can tell if my tank is full, if it's not, easy enough to pull through a filling station, fill it up. Making sure your propane bottles are full and ready. And there's just a lot of other things that you check as you go along. Any other thoughts that you'd like to add to this?
The only thing I can think of, Dale, is our water tank. I've been caught out before, gone somewhere, and I think it was no hookup for water and my tank was empty, so we had to run several hundred feet hose with the help of some other people just to get water there. So
Yeah.
I don't want to do that again.
Yeah, just, you know, spending a little bit of time checking these things out makes life a whole lot better, makes traveling a whole lot more comfortable and fun, enjoyable, and, you know, it just makes the whole trip go better. So these are some things that we feel are important when we're traveling down the road. There's a lot of other items. Perhaps you thought of a few that we haven't thought of. If you have, share those with us. We'd like to add them to our list. But these are some things that I think will keep us safe, make our trips better, and we're going to enjoy them so much more. Stay with us, and we'll be right back with more Best of America by Horseback after these messages. Welcome back to this episode of Best of America by Horseback. I'm your host, Dale Shields. Today we're talking about being road ready and being safe with your truck and your trailer, having everything that you need in preparation before you get on the road. My good friend Gary Bass is with me today helping explain some of these things. Stay with us and watch this episode. Gary, there's a lot of things to talk about to have your vehicle and your trailer ready to get on the road, isn't there?
Absolutely, Dale. A lot of things to make sure we stay safe when we're traveling.
We've talked about everything from good tires and tire pressure, to having diesel exhaust fluid, to having your lights working, to making sure you have a good clip on your battery brake, good hooks and use them in the bed of your truck, as well as having a good spare tire and your propane bottles filled up. Plugging your trailer in is of vital importance. And believe me, you can forget to do this. I've done that recently. But making sure that this thing is plugged in is going to make sure that your trailer has lights, has brakes, and there again, creating the safety net that you need when you travel. My truck actually has a plug for this underneath the bumper and also in the bed of the truck. And I prefer to use the plug that's in the bed of the truck because it stays in a lot better. You can secure it in, and then you could even take a zip tie and put it around that to secure that. Very important to make sure that that is secure, it's solid, and that you have lights. And then it's a good idea to go back and check these once you have this plugged in. While going down the highway, you want to make sure that all of the doors are secure. It may be a good idea to lock these doors so that they don't vibrate open and you begin to lose things out of the side of the trailer. The step being up, the doors being latched, all of these things are important for safety reasons, just to make sure that there's a lot of security. If you have a ladder hanging on the side of your trailer, it's a good idea to make sure that the latch is secure. You sure don't want that thing coming out and flopping when you're going down the highway. One of the things that we've done for safety reasons, because we have had issues, we've started putting a dog collar strap on our awning arms. We took a trip a couple of years ago and the wind was severe during that trip, and it loosened up the awning and it began to move out a little bit until the wind got under it and it ripped the arms plumb off the side of the trailer. And so being able to have some kind of security around these arms is a big benefit. We simply use some little nylon dog collars from Walmart, and they work great. In our list of safety checks, there's one final place we want to bring you to, and that is the hay pod on top of the trailer. These are a terrific place for storing things, storing hay, carrying extra water tanks, but certainly make sure that everything you put on there is strapped down, secure, and tight. If you lose something off the top, it can be a very dangerous thing for those folks following you. Make sure to check the hay pod. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Best of America by Horseback, as we've tried to share with you some of the safety tips that we use as we travel down the road. There are a lot of locations we want to go see this summer, and we'd like for you to come and join us there. But if you do, we want you to be safe as you travel. If you'd like to ride with us, call us at 540-829-9555. Keep up with our ride schedule on our webpage at www.bestofamericabyhorseback.com. Keep up with where we're going to be and what we're doing on our Facebook page and like us there. And you can also watch past episodes on our YouTube channel. We'd love to have you come and join us at some of our locations. Until then, always ride the high trail.